name is Courtney. Welcome back to my channel and I hope you are doing so very well. Today I'm going to have a little chat about my current obsession, and that is the junk journal. Now, I have loved the idea of junk journals for a really long time and I've made them in the past, but I haven't really sort of stuck with it. I've very much sort of loved the making process. I love watching making them. Bookbinding is one of my very favorite things. I'm not very good at it, but I still love it nonetheless. And so I decided to get out of a creative rut that I was experiencing, was to chase a creative itch. And that led me to working in a junk journal in the standard size. Now, I normally have this inside a leather cover, which is not anywhere near me right now, but it's normally in a leather cover. But when I actually work in it, I do take it out so I can move it. The cover is actually made from a Traveler's Factory, Traveler's Company folder, and then I have just stitched in my signatures. Now, it is super fat. I've been working in it for the last couple of weeks and really enjoying it. I've also really been enjoying the color palette change. If you know me, you know that my color palette is very crazy, bright, whimsical, lots of pink, lots of really bright colors, quirky monsters, all that sort of thing. And back in the day, in my older journals, I used to do a stack of vintage stuff, and I'm talking about in my high school days. A lot of vintage collage, vintage ephemera, all that nostalgic stuff was very prevalent in my older journals. And so I decided to dabble a little bit in the vintage realm. I know junk journals generally, from what I've seen, I know there's others out there, but from what I've seen and where I've looked and what I've watched and the YouTubers that I enjoy, a lot of them do junk journaling with a vintage vibe, and I absolutely am here for it. I love it. I am considering making like a rainbow junk journal, as in like more my art style, and going a bit ham with bright colored papers and pattern clashing and all that sort of stuff. So I am considering making a crazy bright one just to show the difference, I guess. But anyway, today I thought I'd just have a chat about my current junk journal that I'm playing with, and also to show you a quick flip through of the two that I have been gifted, and they are very dear to my heart. So I thought that I would start this with my one that I'm currently working in at the moment. It is in the standard size, obviously, and it has got a mixture of a whole heap of vintage ephemera, my collage sheets, photographs, all that sort of thing. And so I thought I'd just show you a quick sort of look through the pages. It is all in a work in progress. Some pages are finished, some pages are not. So I've kind of just been working in it as I see fit and sort of adding to the pages as I like. I have blank spots still. I have bits and pieces of paper, ephemera, watercoloring in, all that sort of stuff is sort of higgledy-piggledy throughout the journal, and I'm a-okay with that. I'm in no rush to finish this journal. I am really enjoying the process of it. I'm really enjoying all the different aspects and all the different layering, and it kind of just feels like my normal journal, but just with a very vintage feel. So the color palette has changed. Like, I've still got some little vintage creatures and things in there. I'm still doing all the same sort of techniques that I would normally do in my normal journal, but I just find that the color palette and the layering of so many papers and textures is just slightly different. And so I still feel very much at home in this. At first, I felt a little bit out of my depth, but once I got into the feel and realized it was very much the same sort of practices that I was already doing in my normal journal, it felt like second nature. This was actually a flower that fell out of a vintage book that I ordered from A Books, and so someone obviously had pressed it within the pages, and it fell out when I was showing my patrons the book itself, like flipping through the book. So I put some matte medium on it, or like a matte varnish, so that it would hold itself, and as you can see, it's very much adhered to the page. It was starting to crumble because it obviously had been there for a while, so that varnish has definitely secured that flower in there very nicely. Does have a little bit of a smell though because of the varnish. That's the only thing that I wasn't like 100% happy with. I did have a lot of little fold out things. Because this is a standard size, I felt like I needed more room. So in every opportunity to add a tip in or add a fold out or add some way to add more journaling, I definitely took advantage of that. And so I have really enjoyed sort of layering all my bits and pieces together. I do spend a lot of time working out how things will work together, where if this will look nice. So I made sure that my flower sort of what's the word, framed my sun space, but also I wanted to make sure that it was looking aesthetically pleasing on this side as well. So there's a lot of sort of tip in mechanics, trying to make sure that every which way that my tip-ins go, they look nice. I've done mixtures of Polaroids. I've done using old stamps. This is actually a pressed daisy, a dried out daisy that I've laminated and put in there, and then sewn, taped some trim on and added some old book paper, some floral book paper to it. This is probably one of my favorite things that I did. I actually did a whole heap of laminating of the pressed flowers. I got a flower press for my birthday, and I've been madly pressing flowers and totally loving the process. And I also scanned a heap of them and turned them into printables, and I actually printed some of them onto acetate. So I've also got a couple of my creatures in there, old Polaroid, not old Polaroids, I literally printed it yesterday, not old, but Polaroids nonetheless. I've used people's happy mail that they've sent me, and things that have come in the mail like paper bags. I've been, you know, playing with adding them as tip-ins, and they become pockets. It's not anything new. I'm not doing anything that no one else has done before. I'm just really having a lot of fun. And when you're in a bit of a creative rut like I was, you need to chase that creative spark in order to sort of claw your way out of a dead spot or a dead zone. And this definitely has helped heaps. There's more of those sort of pressed flowers on there. It's actually pressed flowers on tea-dyed paper. So I've got a whole heap of little bits and pieces from the Feel Good parcel. I ordered a couple of paper party packs from Mia Vibes. I've also got a whole heap of stuff, that old wallpaper that I've been sent. I had a lot of the stuff already because I still love nostalgia. I still collected a lot of these things for my normal journaling, but it doesn't look like vintage because it's normally encapsulated within all the color and the brightness. But I did have a lot of the stuff already. I did go out and buy a few bits and pieces like paper packs from Tim Holtz and things that I wouldn't normally have bought otherwise. And I definitely have sort of curated a few things in my studio to have like a vintage section, which I didn't have before, to make it sort of easier to get my hands on a few of the more neutral tone things. There are still pink in my journal because I bleed pink. I love pink, and so I wanted to have a more muted tone of pink in my journal. I've got more of those acetate windows. This is packaging from some things I bought on Etsy, and I loved the actual backing card, so I just turned it into a tip-in spot and added some paper and some book pages. This is the beautiful tissue paper from the Feel Good parcel, and I just taped it up the side and ripped the top and made it a little pocket. It's very flimsy though. I'd be very careful what I put in there. I added some of the botanical chipboard elements that are from a Tim Holtz pack. So things like that, I picked up a couple of those just to sort of add to my journal. So they're like really hard botanicals, and they were really lovely. More spots. These are from a dispatch from the LA. I want to say that, yes, Marianne Moss, and so she's got this as a free printable. I put the link down below. It's all beautiful vintage labels that she's hand painted, and it's a free printable, and I've shared this link many a time with many people, and they come in really handy. They have all different sizes, and there's red ones and blue ones, and they're some of my favorite things to use, and I just print them onto sticker paper. I've gotten books from thrift stores, like a Kath Kidston in print book, which had a whole heap of Kath Kidston prints, and I've been using them to sort of make tip-in backgrounds. Because it's glossy, I would then put something over the top, because the glossy doesn't really help, but it makes some beautiful sort of journal photo backgrounds. And I've got some fabric tabs. I've got pages out of a Sabrina Ward Harrison book that I use for journal photo and collage photo. and her work is just absolutely stunning for that sort of thing. This was the Feel Good parcel. I kind of just added some of the ephemera from it and then added a belly band so you can actually put things in here. And I've got the little receipt from her, and I put the picture of it when it arrived, and I actually put it into a envelope. Like, I sealed up the envelope and then taped it down. And because there's a paper clip there, it makes it a little bit harder to get in, so I'll put that back in instead of fiddling with it. So I've just taped that there. Some more of the Feel Good parcel things, more of those Tim Holtz things. I always try and add some lined paper on things that are very busy so that I've got extra space for journaling, because even though I love the look of all the papers and things, I still want there to be writing in my junk journal. I am a writer at heart. I want to write my heart out, so I want to make sure that there is always space. I always try and find extra ways to add space. This was a slip pocket. There's one of those packaging from the stickers again, so I've just covered the back, because it's obviously glossy, covered the back with brown paper and lined paper, and there's a whole extra journaling spot that I can then add to the side of a already. So even though my signature wasn't really chunky, the fact that I've added all these add-ons for extra journaling space has really filled out the insert, and I knew that was going to happen, which is why I didn't make it a huge book, because I knew that it would fill out with all the extra weight of my tip-ins. This was a picture that I had printed out and then laminated, but the laminate didn't go so well, so it's a little bit what's the word, variegated. It's got that sort of it's been through a crimping machine almost. I didn't want to not use it, so I just put it in anyway. And because it is through a laminator, all the extra stuff, I love how everything looks layered together, and that was kind of the fun part. I've got little bits and pieces sort of tucked away inside here. This is from Happy Mail, and so was this. So I've got them in there to turn into something at a later date. These are printables from Patreon, and I've made like little tags and things. Again, printables from Patreon. I did a whole vintage set of vintage printables. I will have some up on Etsy soon, but obviously because I was being heavily influenced by my junk journal, my printables reflected that. So I love that I still could get monsters and creatures, but in a very muted color palette. And these are some of my very favorites that I have worked on. And they're a mixture of digital and traditional merged together. I also took lots of photos of some dried flowers that I had, because I love dried flowers so much. I've got more acetate that sort of layers over, which was a big background that's got doilies and old ephemera and things, and then this just says magic in gold. I've got some acetate that someone printed for me, because I can't seem to, not acetate, vellum. I couldn't get my printables to work on vellum. My printer just doesn't want to do it, and Officeworks don't offer vellum in color. So I had someone print me up some of my printables onto vellum, because I loved the look of them. Just some, I think this is a paper bag. Yeah, a paper bag from when we do our no waste shopping. That is when we don't have the jars, or we've used up all our jars, I have paper bags. So I just have kept those. Old postcards. So we're getting towards the end of the journal where I haven't sort of done a lot of the layering and things. I have bits and pieces sort of, this is another one of my printables, sort of sitting in there, more acetate. But as you get further closer to the end, I haven't done as many layers and as many things, because I kind of do it as I go. And that's a little tag. And then I've got a big tag here with some tea-dyed paper. Lots of extra tuck spots and things to go into. And then I've got some postcards and things that I've been sent. So that is my current junk journal that I have been lovingly working on and really enjoying the sort of laid back process. I love paper and I love layering paper, and so this has been nothing but a joy for me, and I really enjoyed putting it all together and seeing how far I can take it. And I know that if I add more tip-ins, it's just going to get colossal. I may very well add a closure at the end to sort of keep it from busting open, but you can see that I'm already pretty close, but I've really enjoyed the whole process of it. I did accidentally bind my folder upside down, but that's okay. It still works for what I'm using it for. So yeah, I thought I would show you that, and then I'm going to quickly show you 2 junk journals that I received in the mail from 2 amazing makers that I wanted to showcase for you today. Now, when I think junk journals and I think about YouTube, the first name that comes to mind always is my dear friend Johanna. And she is an Aussie like me, and she makes beautiful videos, and everyone knows her. Even if you don't know her, her link will be down below for sure. But she makes beautiful journals. She makes the pages from our journals zine that is a printable on her Etsy store. She does a lot. She's amazing, and we've been friends for a very long time. I approached her knowing full well that I'd probably get a no because she doesn't take customs, if she would make a Disney themed journal, or a loose Disney themed journal for me and my family to use, or for me to journal about our trips and anything Disney related in one place. And so she magically said yes, because she just happened to be making her own Disney themed journal for her own personal journal. And so I was very grateful. So we did a skill swap where I traded my video content and my collage sheets to her, and I also sent her a whole heap of ephemera, Disney craft, Disney themed papers and everything, and also a whole heap of bits and pieces that I've collected from our trips. And then said, you know, use what you want in your own journal. And obviously I understand that I am very lucky to have a journal created by her. And so she got all my Patreon printables and my video content, and she created me this journal, and I have been waiting so long for it, and I'm so excited to be able to finally showcase it for you. There is a whole heap of beautiful charms, and these are a mixture of pressed pennies that I've obviously picked up from when we've gone to Disney. I've picked up key rings that she's attached. She's added some little vintage buttons and things in the colorways. It was just perfect, and I've never had a dangle on my journal ever, so I have to get used to that. And I know that people put them up the top. That's how much I know. And obviously it is this beautiful pale baby pink with a deer on the front. Like I said, it is loosely based on Disney. All the ephemera and stuff and all the added bits and pieces. The journal is quite bare, and she said it was so that I could add my own stamp and my own feel to it, which I totally love. And so she sent back a whole heap of the ephemera bits and pieces to me, and I will use them as I journal throughout the journal. So I'm only going to do a very quick flip of these because I don't want to take up too much time of yours, just to show you the actual journal itself. And there is a letter from her in there, which I'm actually going to put in my personal journal. And so there's a mixture of a whole heap of floral and vintage stuff, because I also asked for there still to be a very whimsical look to it, not hardcore Disney. And so she has done an amazing job at keeping that theme. There are Disney postcards throughout the journal, lots of tuck spots, lots of tea-dyed scrapbooking paper, some postcards that I had sent her. And I just think it is going to be so beautiful when I finally get to journal in it. And I hope to bring some junk journal with me videos to you in the future. She's tea-dyed some of the scrapbooking paper that is one-sided. So she asked me first, and I definitely said yes. I love the tea-dyed paper, and I love how it makes the paper feel. It almost gives it a different feeling. These are IKEA Christmas paper bags. Just loved how she clashed patterns beautifully. It still has a lot of the bits and pieces and the graphicness. Some of these papers are from the Say Cheese range that I sent her, which are very Mickey themed with the polka dots and the stars. So there's quite a bit of this paper that I had sent her in here. There's also things like guide maps. I sent her a whole heap of bits of ephemera that I'd picked up from the parks to use in hers and my journal. I loved this paper. I loved this paper so much. This is also from the Say Cheese range, which is like a nice big pocket here. And I love that there's a lot of tuck spots for things, because when you go, you pick up so much ephemera, park tickets, all the maps and things, you know, packaging. There are so many things that you can pick up and bring home that I have a stash of already from our trips. I so thought about using this as my actual journal, and then I said no, because I know that doing it this way, this journal will have a really long longevity, because it's going to Disney with our, you know, as a family is not something that we're going to be doing a whole heap of, but I still wanted it to be so special that it had its own sort of dedicated place. And so I wanted to have a book that would last a really long time. And as you can see, there's a whole heap of signatures in this book, so it means that I can be journaling for years to come and it won't sort of end. And if I was to use this as my personal journal, it would be over way too quickly. This reminds me of Mary Poppins with the fly a kite. Tuck spots. She's done a really beautiful job at mixing the vintage florals, the pale colors, but then there's still bold blacks in there and graphic prints, which I'm all about. So it was a very beautiful balance between that. So there's the stars. This was one of my favorites. I loved this, and I loved how you could see the yellow, the stars, and the blue, and a little bit of green. That makes me happy. Paper layering makes me happy. There's another one of those IKEA bags. There's playing cards and postcards, and she's used postcards as pockets. And I actually have the box of Disney postcards as well, so I can use those. They make great tip-ins. Like, I would definitely cover that with paper and journaling and things like that. Old Golden Book adverts that have the Disney characters on it. I love all the ledger paper. There's still so much room for journaling, but there's still so many places for giant photographs to go, and I love really big photographs. They're one of my favorites actually as like visual center points, and I'll actually show you what I mean. I have journaled some of our first trip to Disney together when we went to LA, and I want to move that journaling over into here. Although our first trip to Disney was a little bit rocky because I actually fainted, and my poor little boo thought that I had died, bless her heart, and she screamed when I went down. It was the first time that I had traveled since my surgery, and I obviously hadn't eaten properly and I hadn't hydrated. It was really hot that day, and I just went down, and Lily, oh my poor little Lily boo, it like really shook her up. And so I didn't take as many photos as I wanted because I obviously was a bit shaky on my feet for the rest of the day, and we were being super careful and taking everything slow. So I feel bad that our first experience got a little bit tainted by that, because I feel like I really broke my daughter that day. I remember hearing her scream, I think, I don't know, but so there's not a heap of photos from our first trip, but there's definitely a lot of memories. So I hope to keep making them. I hope to do LA with them again, because Lily loves Disney. Elijah not so much, but Lily is hardcore for it. And so I'd like to recreate the first time again without the fainting. So dramatic. I love all that she's done. She's done such a beautiful job, and I cannot wait to fill it with our family memories and our family photographs. And I'm going to get the kids to write memories in on the backs of postcards and things. Elijah probably won't be down so much because he hates the rides. He is the polar opposite. I have one thrill seeker and one scaredy cat, and Elijah just happens to be the scaredy cat. And I love him nonetheless, but he's just not big on the rides. Loves everything else, loves the food, loves the atmosphere, loves the light shows, the parades, but man, the rides just take him out. My poor baby. I loved this page so much with the beautiful blue lace. It went so well with the baby pink. There's just so many good things. Coming to the end, couple of pages. I love Ariel. She's my girl. And then there's a pocket here, and then in here it's got a whole heap of Disney postcards. Alice in Wonderland, Winnie the Pooh, Pinocchio. So that is what is going to be our family Disney journal. And I will show you quickly the little bit of journaling that I've done for LA Disney. So this is my Rotifaden, and this is what I've got a lot of my travel journal stuff in from our first trip away. And I've obviously saved postcards and things in here. And so, like I said, big giant photograph. And I've got all of our like bits and pieces in here, our flight tickets and everything. I have yet to sort of finish journaling this, even though it happened almost 2 years ago now. It's because it's such an epic family trip that I feel like I need to make it the bestest in the worldest. So I actually journaled on a map, which I've done before. And so I have done all the journaling on the Disney map itself. Although it's not feeling very worse for wear at the moment, is it? No. So it's meant to be like that, with that on the front. And then I've kind of put photographs of all the different places and some of the ride pictures, and journaled like the castle at night time. And we went at Christmas time, so the Christmas tree was there. And then I've also got sort of our tickets are in here, and photographs on the back of that. And I know I've got a heap more like ephemera, so this is just a big pocket that's got all the maps and things in it, so you can see in there. But when I say like giant photographs, I've got big photos layered onto things, and I've got a whole heap of like photographs that I haven't used, so that will definitely go into the journal. And I've got pictures. This is when I stayed with Ro at Sojourner, and so I've got all these big photos that I'm just going to move over into the Disney journal. So that's the big Ferris wheel at California Adventure Park. So there's a lot in here, and I just feel, I think I want it to be in that journal as one thing. Also there's the balloons layered onto acetate, bits and pieces. So I think I will move all that over into the other journal. And so I have, this is like the Rotifaden has prongs that you can pull out. And so I haven't bound anything in, so it's not secure in here. I can move it around as I see fit. And I definitely will start moving across some of those things into the Disney journal. So yes, that is one of my beauties. They both arrived on the same day, and the other one is from Michelle from the Paper Addiction. This is the beautiful, beautiful journal, junk journal, from Michelle over at the Paper Addiction. She's got a YouTube channel and an Etsy store that I stalked like crazy and missed out. I wasn't quick enough to grab one. I stalked and stalked. I was staying with my family at the time in the country, and we went out to take the kids for a bike ride and to play in the park. And that happened to be the time that I was not near my phone or my computer, and everything sold out within minutes and I missed out. But the lovely Michelle contacted me and asked me if there's anything that I saw that I really wanted. And so I went, I had already watched her video, and so I had taken screenshots of the favorites that I had that I was looking for, and I sent her all the pictures, and then she so kindly created me one of my own. And I asked for sort of the pinky colors, of course, and she delivered. And I love the botanicals. That was the other thing I really loved. The botanicals on it are stunning, and then the book plate on the front, I just got to work out what I want to put on there. It is so beautiful. The difference between the Johanna one and this one is this is all blank. It is all tea dyed papers of heavier weight paper, so watercolor paper, mixed media paper. And so there is a few little tags and things in the front, and she has got such fantastic tea dyeing skills. She's got mad skills for the tea dyeing. And so I had all my paper tea dyed because I wanted to have that as a base color. And she asked me what kind of papers, and I said that I would love some heavier weight papers. Now with my one, I wasn't thinking so smartly when I created mine, and I've got like light copy paper that I've tea dyed, and like the paper bags and things, and stuff like my, where is it? The florals and things. This bled like crazy all throughout the pages. You can see a little bit in here. I covered a lot of it up, but I have to be really careful with what I do. My little monster here, I had to put like a gesso down first to sort of give it a barrier. And so when I want to do a wet medium on here, say I wanted to paint a watercolor or anything like that, or even like a heavy inky pen, I got to be careful about what page I do it on. I have to sort of layer some groundwork papers down first. So I kind of said I would love some heavier weight stuff, and she was really fantastic. Like you can see that this is like hardcore. And so there's some tags and things in here. So it's all beautifully tea dyed, all the different types of tuck spots and secret pockets. And I cannot wait to sort of add a whole heap of vintage creatures and photographs and things to it. She was so lovely, and I just, it's so beautifully done. It's so light in the hands too. I was so surprised at how light it is. And I love that it's like a really good hand size. That was the other thing. I'm like, oh, it's such a good hand size. So this one I cannot wait to really get into. I have to put this aside until I finish my little standard one. But I can't wait to fill it with all the bits and the pieces and the photographs. And I know that if I'm going to do watercolor on this, or I'm going to do something that requires heavy medium or a lot of application, that this paper is going to hold up. I love that it's blank, but I also love that it's tea dyed. I think it's going to be really nice to see how colors work on top of like a tinted canvas already. I think it's going to be beautiful. It's going to lend itself really well to all the bits and pieces that I've been enjoying already in my standard size. So I think this one will probably be my next junk journal to play in. And I love that it's pretty much blank. I love that I've got free reign and I can just add my own things, tape my own things down. I just cannot wait. She does do stockings on her Etsy store, but you have to be quick. They sell out fast. She is very sought after, and I understand how blessed I am to be very fortunate to have two amazing women make journals for me. And I also thanked her by sending her my Patreon printables and video content, because I get how hard people work for stuff, and it was amazing of her to make me one. Not to my specifications, but she did a damn good job. I basically said I loved the pinks, I loved the sort of reds, I loved the Reader's Digest size, and I loved the botanicals, and she gave me everything and a slice of bread. It's just beautiful. Both of them are stunning. I love that you can still see some of the patterning from the original book. She's just so good at what she does. So I will have her shop and her Etsy and her Instagram of both the women in there for you to have a look at. But both are very sought after, and they go out, they sell out. They do show what they're having in a stocking on their YouTube channel, so have a notification bell for them. I love watching those videos. I just sit there and watch journal porn, is what I call it. And I'm set for a while. I don't need any for anytime soon, but I cannot wait to have some of the fun in these, and I can't wait to sort of do a couple of journal with me's in the junk journal style for you guys. If you have any questions, leave them down below. And that's pretty much it. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.